Sorry, our video got cut off there. Welcome to part two. So I was just leaving off on talking about the hard way to do number six. So you could have used the 2 points here, and you could have also went through the whole work of doing the slope formula here, and you still would have got the same answer of -3/4, just the same as if you would have counted down 3 and over 4. Okay, so the counting way would be, the rise over run way would be a lot quicker and simpler when we give you the picture. Otherwise, you can always use the formula. All right, number 7. So this is learning target 3 here. What always gets people on this is they can calculate the differences, but then they make just small mistakes. So you got to remember that when we're talking about rate of change, right? Rate of change, it is the same as slope, but we're talking about kind of like real world situations. So we're talking about the change in y over the change in x on a specific time basis. So in this problem, they're talking about a baby growing. So here to here, that's 6 months, and the baby grew 4 inches. Okay, so in this case, it was 4 over 6, which would equal approximately 0.6 repeating inches per month. Okay, so you have to find basically the rate of change for each. So this is 9 months later, and the baby has grown 4.1 inches. So it grew more, but that was in a longer amount of time. Of course it grew more in a longer amount of time. So if you do the math here, and you do 4.1 divided by 9, I can't do that one in my head. Sorry, first time I've had to grab my calculator. It actually only grew approximately 0.45 repeating. All right, so just moving on here. This is what 8 months or 8 months later, yeah, and they only grew. Just do it in my head. What 2.9. So 2.9 in 8 months. Definitely going to be a lot lower. So that's only about 3.6, excuse me, 0.36, sorry about that, 0.36 inches per month. So definitely lower. And then last but not least, another, 7 months later, 7 months later, the baby only grew 2.2 inches. So you can tell they're really slowing down the growth. And that's typically what happens with babies, to be honest. They don't grow as fast the older they get. And obviously, as you become adult, sometimes you start to shrink a little bit. So that's about 0.31 inches. So the actual biggest growth for the baby was right off the bat from age, so we would say right here from age 3 months to 9 months was where they showed the highest rate of change. All right, so you would answer, you could write your answer for like from month 3 to month 9 was the greatest interval rate of change. All right, number 8, this is a throwback question. We haven't done this one like this in a while. I know in my classes we haven't done it in a long time. But as soon as you see y varies directly with x, you know you're looking for this situation. Basically, x times something turns into y. Okay, so they give us the information. So if I just write y equals kx, they give us x and they give us y. So I know -12 equals k times x. I'm going to do the classic sign there. Oh, well, you should be able to do that in your head. If not, if you got to figure out k, you just divide by -3, and you'd get k equals 4. Oh, so k equals 4. Great. That's not what it's asking. It's asking me to find x when y is 8. Oh, well, now that I know k, the actual equation is y equals 4x, and the question is to find x when y equals 8. Oh, so 4 times y equals 8. Of course, you should get the answer x equals 2, but if you can't do that in your head, no problem. Just divide both sides by 4, and you would get x equals 2. All right, number 9. All right, here's where it starts to get a little bit harder. So they gave us one more time, they gave us ax plus by equals c. They gave us standard form, but they're asking for slope-intercept form. So basically I got to get that y by itself so that I can get and change this into y equals mx plus b. So I got to get y by itself. So I'm just going to show my work here. Negative 3x minus 2y equals 8. And my goal is to get that y all by its lonesome. So first I'm going to add 3x to both sides. Alright, so then I would have negative 2y equals 3x plus 8. And then I'm going to divide by negative 2 and divide by negative 2. I'm going to have to heart method that thing. 3 over negative 2 I'm just going to leave as the fraction. Y equals negative 3 over 2x. And 8 divided by negative 2, that would be minus 4. All right. Part B says to graph this. So I would have to start at negative 4, my y-intercept, my y-intercept, my beginning, negative 4. So I'm going to start down here, and then the slope is down 3 over 2, down 3 over 2. All right, so just throw a couple points. I'm just going to erase my work for my my slope down 3 over 2, and then just connect the dots and draw my line for part B. All right, just use your ruler. There it is. All right, so the final learning target is where it gets tough because they give you a lot of different information, but they don't really give you what you're looking for. Okay, so first of all, I need to know my goal. It says write an equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so my goal is this. And then you're like, wait a second, they don't give me anything except for 2 points. So they give me x1, y1, they give me x2, y2, but none of those are in this. None of those are in my goal. However, we know we can use the slope formula with 2 points to find the slope. So let's do that first. So first I'm going to do my one more time, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right. I'm going to do negative 3 minus 1 over 2 minus 3. So I get negative 4 over negative 1, which would cancel out to a positive 4. All right, so at least, finally, I have my slope, and I know that goes there. But the only problem is I still don't have b. They haven't given me the y-intercept. But what they did give me, oh, I do have my x1, y1 in my slope. Luckily, what we're going to do on almost all these problems is we're going to use our point slope form and change it into our y equals mx plus b form. Okay? So they gave me, now I know the slope, and I have x1, y1 to plug in there. So I would have y minus 1 equals the slope times x minus 3. And then I would just distribute really quick. And I'd also add the 1 over. So I would get what? 4x minus 12 plus 1. So 4x plus 11. There it is. Y equals 4x plus 11. All right. Number 11, similar thing. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. Again, my goal is y equals mx plus b. Did they give me any of that? Hey, that's good. They did give me a slope for a line that has slope 3. Hey, thank you. Yes, good. I have this. But again, I do not have the b. But what I do have is x1, y1. So again, I'm going to make point slope form and change it into y equals mx plus b form. You can only take what they give you. So I'm going to take this form and change it into y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I know the slope is 3, so that's going to go there. I know I have x1, y1, that goes there, and then negative 5 goes there. And I'm going to have one of those minus and negative, so let me just rewrite it cleaner out here. So I have y plus 5 equals the slope times x minus 2. So I'm just going to distribute 3x minus 6, and I need to minus that 5 over to the other side. So hey, I'm going to get another negative 11, 3x minus 11. So let me just write my answer, y equals 3x minus 11. All right. Now number 12 is kind of the ultimate version of that, because first of all, it tells you the data is a linear function. So it's telling you it's a line, and one more time, my goal is y equals mx plus b, a slope-intercept form again, okay? But you know it's a line going in, so I need to find my slope. Well, luckily, I can do my change in y over my change of x, because that's my slope. And they've actually given me too much information. They've given me not 1 point, not 2 points. They've actually given me 3 points. So I can use any of these points. I could use the slope formula. For me, it's easier to just do it right here. So negative 8 to 4, I know that's up 12. And negative 1 to 5, I know that's up 6. So my y is up 6, my x is over 12. Oh, that's 1/2. Let me try it one more time. From 4 to 10, that's up 6. From 5 to 8, that's up 3. Oh, 3 over 6. Oh yeah, it's also 1/2. Okay, it worked. So my slope is 1/2, all right? And then again, one final time, I have the slope, I have a bunch of points, but I don't have b. They never give me b. Come on, just give me b one time. So I one more time have to start with this and change it into, right? I can only take what they gave me. So I'm going to use some positive numbers, just easier. I'm going to use 4 and 5 as my x1, y1. I'm just picking those as my point. So I'm going to do y minus 5 equals the slope 1/2 times x minus 4. Just distribute a half. Oh, luckily I can take a half of 4. That would be minus 2. And don't forget to add the 5 over to the other side to cancel that out. So I finally get my answer, y equals 1/2 x plus 3. And I'll just write it on the line so my teacher can see it. Cool. All right, number 13, we're getting near the end here. Big question. One final time, write an equation in slope-intercept form. One more time. I'm going to take the time to write. My goal is y equals mx plus b. Okay, then what? Perpendicular. I need to be perpendicular to this line. And that line, how ugly, it's in this form. So it's not even useful because it doesn't have the slope. But it does, hey, at least I have x1, y1 this time. So it tells me it has to go through that point. So first thing I need to do is I need to take this and I need to change it into y equals mx plus b. So I at least can find the slope. And then the key thing to remember for perpendicular slope, all right, remember this, is that if my slope, if my rise over run is like, 10 over 3, then perpendicular, it would be the opposite and reciprocal. So I'd have to flip and switch the sign, all right? So first I need to find out what my slope is. So all they gave me was 4x plus y equals -1, all right? Well, I can get y by itself in one step if I just minus the 4x to the other side, okay? So then my equation now would be y equals -4x minus 1. Okay, so here's my slope, -4. Found it. My slope is -4. But I need to be perpendicular. So I need to steal that slope. If I'm going to be perpendicular, negative 4 over 1 needs to turn into positive 1 over 4. I need to flip it and switch the sign, the opposite reciprocal. So here's my new slope, and there's my point all the way back here. So I can, one more time, I have this information, which I can change into y equals mx plus b. Okay, so my new slope is 1/4, and my point was 2 comma negative 1. So y minus negative 1 would turn into plus 1. My slope is 1/4, and I have x minus 2. All right, so distribute. I get 1/4 x, 1/4 of negative 2. Negative 2 broken into 4 pieces would be a negative 1/2. We're ending up with a fraction, but that's okay. And then I minus 1 from this side and minus 1 from that side. And so negative 1/2 minus another 1. So I end up with a fraction for both of these. That's okay. So minus 1.5 or minus 1.5. So finally, hard question. I'm going to write it on the line. Y equals 1/4 x minus 1 and 1/2. All right. Last but not least, number 14. Okay. Write equations of two separate lines that are parallel. Thank you. It's my choice. When I see parallel, right away I know same slope. So the easiest thing for me is to think I need to write y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to write another y equals mx plus b, where these slopes are the same. These slopes are the same right here. So how about y equals 3x plus 2, and how about y equals 3x plus 4? Again, how do I know they're parallel? They have the same slope. Thank you. Hopefully you did well. Study hard for the test tomorrow. You got this.